boys and girls, we are here on a fine Sunday afternoon. And what do when we are unwinding? We wind back up and we get the talent on STP, the talent that we see live out on the indie scene to tell some stories, maybe pull the curtain back. Or, as in this case, we have a return of one big country, Jason Maverick. So, this is STP with Donkey Cade and our very special guest, one big country, Jason Maverick. Welcome back, my man.
How you doing, Dan? Nice to be back.
Good. Yeah, man. I did a look-see. It's been about 7 months. Back in August and last summer we spoke. I was outside, and if I'm not mistaken, you were outside. Our connection weren't the best. We had to splice some shit together. I think this will be a better connected sit-down on this one, my man.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, first off, why don't we just point out a little bit of the merch that's flying around? I'm going to go with you first because that's a beautiful Jason Maverick shirt. Point that out, my man. Yes, sir. Is that new? What's going on?
Now on ProWrestlingTees.com.
Okay. And you just type in Jason Maverick as your at Pro Wrestling Tees?
Yep.
All right. Is that the only offering you have at Pro Wrestling Tees, or is there a couple other choices? What do you got going on over there?
I have two other choices. I still have the Remembrance of My Dad shirt up there. And then I also, with the one I'm currently wearing, I have shirts. It's just a simple but different design.
All right. I like the cowboy hat, the lettering and everything. It's got a little flair to it.
Yeah.
I like me some new merch.
Yeah. I'm horrible, absolutely horrible at designing merchandise. So I got a couple of buddies. One in particular that actually designed this one is that big thanks to Sean Killian on that one, and then my buddy Curtis Overton. He's also helping with the designs too. So,
hey, as we say in wrestling, it takes a village, my man. You can't do it by yourself. You really need that support system. So I'm glad to hear that kind of thing. I don't know why, but I picked Ryan F. and Frost. I don't know what it was or why it just jumped out at me to pick Ryan F. and Frost. I don't know what it was, but here we are.
I've got an answer for that. Because you're talking with Jason F. and Maverick. You needed a Ryan F. and Frost shirt. You needed something to counter.
Then it was meant to be. It just called me. It said Ryan F. and Frost for Big Jason for Big Country. So I was like, hey, here we are. Ryan F. and Frost, Jason F. and Maverick. So it's been about 7 months or so, and we were chit-chatting. That was the first time we sat down. We were chit-chatting Jason Maverick and getting to know you a little bit and all of that good stuff and what was going on in the immediate scene and immediate time in the career of one Jason Maverick. But in wrestling, even the fans know, if it only about 6 months worth of time, and things can change. I don't know why, I don't know how, but in wrestling, and I know in life things change in a short amount of time, but in wrestling, you got to keep up. Shit just changes out of nowhere. So I'm going to lead in with that, my friend. First off, welcome to the show, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, the fans, first off.
You're welcome. Now, I wouldn't normally do this for anybody else because, NASCAR race is about to start, but the one man I would do this for is Don Kincaid, so you're very welcome.
And I know you're a big fan of the left turn. I know, I get that, so I appreciate that. I really do. Mm-hmm. Now we were talking, things change. People evolve. Wrestling evolves. Wrestlers evolve. Now, I'm to hear, because, I do try to keep an eye on stuff. I am to hear that I'm not talking to the same Jason Maverick that I spoke to just 7 months prior. And that was given some info on the old face page to myself. So why don't we just start right there? What's going on with Jason Maverick? Big country, Jason Maverick.
Here's the thing, I don't think I'm different. Okay. I think that I'm perfectly myself, just the self that nobody else sees.
Oh. So am I? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead with your question.
I was just gonna say more aggressive, Mr. Maverick, because I know you're a big dude and you bring the fight and everything, but are you a more aggressive Mr. Maverick right now?
I guess you could say that, and some people may say, hey, you're a different person. No, I'm the same person. The thing is, you don't see things like I see. So therefore, my opinions are different from your opinions, which makes you not like me. That's not my problem. I don't care what the fans think. I don't feel different. I don't think I act different.
Okay. So that's a us problem, if you will, right?
Yeah, that's. Listen, this is my world. Everybody else just living in it.
All right. And you're trucking through, seemingly kicking some ass along the way.
Oh, of course.
um, Now I was speaking with, and which I know you're familiar with. I was speaking with one J.P. O'Reilly and one Lee Edward Miller yesterday on STP as they were making their way to go see some deathmatch action. And again, I know you're familiar with both of those cats, and this isn't about them, but I just kind of bringing it somewhere. Now, deathmatch wrestling isn't for everybody, and you have to. There's no in between. You either like it or you're not really for it. I wanted to bring that question, that topic, if you will, maybe a little more into STP because now my curiosity has got me. One Jason Maverick, big dude, will punch in the face, kick you in the teeth, all of that good stuff. But are you, someone that can, how do I put that can appreciate deathmatch wrestling?
I've had a couple of hardcore stimulated matches. One with JP O'Reilly himself, and I bled, and weirdly enough, I actually liked it. So I think I'd like to dip my toes in a little bit more deathmatch wrestling. I've got a Falls Count Anywhere match coming up on May the 6th with the one and only Alexander Lee. That is Falls Count Anywhere.
Oh,
so Alexander Lee likes to get hardcore, and I'm gonna dip my toes in with Alexander Lee, and he's gonna see how hardcore Big Country can be.
Good. All the luck to you. I know you're a big dude and you take care of business and everything, but good luck to you. May 6th, please promo that a little bit more. Where are we talking? What's the setup? Well, where do we go for tickets and all of that stuff?
The Let's Wrestle show is at the indoor yard sale, the former building where Vacation Land Pro Wrestling ran. So Let's Wrestle is running there now. May 6th, I believe the show starts at 7.
Okay.
So.
Not a bad venue because you don't have to worry about the ceilings. There's a lot of space. You don't have to worry about, the tightness of the crowd or anything like that. So, I actually dig that place for wrestling.
Yeah, it's not that bad of a venue.
Yeah. Now, Let's Wrestle is one of these companies that's very frequented. I see that frequently runs in Maine. And as I was speaking again with Mr. O'Reilly and Lee Edwards, there's not a whole lot to pick from for promotion wise in Maine. Are you finding it hard to work in your home state of Maine, and are you making your way across the border and spreading your wings into other states and such?
So it's funny you say that because you're asking me if I find it harder. I'd say yes and I'd say no, but a lot of it's on myself because I'm always pressuring myself because I've always doubted myself and all that shit. But I feel like that I have to work harder in the dojo because I have that Gleets name to run on. I don't want to be known as Joey Gleets' baby boy. I want to be known as Big Country. So I feel like I'm having to work harder in the dojo, just to kind of get out under that shadow. I've worked for a few promotions out of state. I've worked for a company in New Jersey. I've worked for a company in Indiana. Speaking of which, shout out, we're going to Sweet 16. Um, I'd like to spread my wings. I've had people message me about coming to Canada to work, but
Oh,
passport and all that stuff. So,
okay.
uh, I'd love to spread my wings. I'd like to see where this wrestling thing goes. It was always something I wanted to do whenever I was a kid, but my mother's like, "Oh no, you're never going to become this. You're never going to become that." It's just one of those things. Like, Mom, I love you, but I got to prove you wrong on this one, and I want to see how far it can take me.
Yeah. Now, second generation, you were speaking of. I want to be known as Big Country, not in the shadow of. And I see that a lot in second generation athletes and performers and such, and they want to make their own name. Where someone like Charlotte Flair, she took on that name, she took on that role of continuing the star power of Flair. Now you want to be known as Big Country, and you were talking about the dojo. Let's kind of dip into that a little bit because again, we're seeing some stars out of this dojo that you speak of, and I'm almost assuming that it is the Limitless Dojo up in Maine. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Uh, Speak to us a little bit about the dojo and what they, I don't know, bring to the table teaching the students. How do they hone your craft as the Limitless Dojo?
So really, you have your trainers. You have both MSP, Aiden Agro, and Danger Kid. You got Eric Johnson and you got Alexander Lee. Those are your trainers.
Okay.
I've been to all of their classes throughout. Sometimes I do Danny's class. Sometimes I make Jossie. Sometimes I make Alexander Lee. Sometimes I make Eric. All of them, they're not, they're not assholes about it. If you don't understand something, they're going to help you understand until you get what you're trying to do. For the longest time, I had problems with, the 3/4 roll because I'm a big dude and I can never just roll through and stand up straight on my feet. It took me a long time. Whenever I was training with Killian's Mat and Muscle, I had a problem with all that. Like I could do like the suplexes and all that stuff, but when it came to rolls, I just absolutely sucked at it. But with the Limitless Dojo, those trainers, they help you until you get it. They're not gonna look down upon you just because you're not, up there with the other trainees because you're not understanding as quickly as everybody else.
I love hearing that because that's how you challenge yourself. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, especially athletically and being a bigger guy. So I love hearing that kind of stuff. And that's why I ask these questions about the training facilities. I want to hear how, the wrestlers describe their training facility because not all of them are the same. And that's the best thing though. Like you were saying earlier, not everybody's the same. What you like, I don't like. What I don't like, you don't like, may like and whatnot. Um, excuse me. But being able to challenge yourself and persevere through some of these things that it takes to become a wrestler, I love hearing those stories. So thank you for sharing that with us. I appreciate that. Now, let's kind of keep on the Limitless Dojo a little bit because right now, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I am wrong, they are on season 2 of what they call Mojo in the Dojo. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, I love these little side deals because it gives us the fans something that we don't either see regularly or cannot see at all and
Yep.
is offered by a promotion. And it's not maybe a whole event that they are presenting or something, but it's something in their facility and they give us a little something, maybe 2, 3, 4 matches. And this is offered on YouTube, boys and girls. So before we get out of here, we are going to tell you how to find this. But talk to us about the Mojo in the Dojo, because I've seen that Big Country has been part of Mojo in the Dojo.
I have.
So talk to us about this, because I love these little setups on the sides, if
Yeah.
you will.
What do you want to know?
Well, first off, is it just a student showcase that surrounds their skills and what they're trying to present? And so on YouTube, we get to see 2, 3, maybe 4 matches going
Mhm.
against one another. Is that what it is supposed to be? Is a student showcase?
I want to say that's what it is. The Limitless Dojo crew isn't the only crew on Mojo at the dojo. We have other training schools in the New England area that'll come up for the tapings and stuff, and
Oh, okay.
we'll do what we do.
Now, gaining knowledge from one facility to another, from one opponent to another, from one maybe X superstar that is at an event, and you get to soak in this knowledge. I love that, what you just described. Not only is it a showcase of the students that are at the Limitless Dojo, but it's other students and other wrestlers that are coming from different areas, and you you get to intermingle knowledge of wrestling. So I feel that's a great environment doing what you
Oh, I
guys are doing.
totally agree. It's great because there's not that war on which school's better. We all get along, we all have fun, we all do our thing, and then I'm sure most of everybody communicates with each other throughout. But
Mhm. So how many times does this run? Is it weekly? Is it bi-monthly? Or how does this run?
so we usually do the tapings the day after Let's Wrestle runs because everybody's still in the area. They'll stay at a hotel or whatnot overnight. We'll go back and we'll tape the Mojo at the Dojo tapings.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now I see there's like you were saying, there is an eclectic array of wrestlers, names, if you will, boys and girls both. And you've been in how many matches
I've
during
been
these
in three.
tapings? 3?
I've been in three. Yeah.
Could you give us a little rundown? And there's only 3, so give us a rundown of who your opponents were, if you could.
Okay, so the first opponent was my biggest opponent, and he was a challenge. Was Big Cat Tyler Adams.
Okay.
He's about as big as me, maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit smaller than me. I'm not really sure, but
Did
he's
you
a
get the
big boy.
dub?
Huh?
Did you get the W?
Oh, of course I got the W. I'm undefeated. I have not lost a match at Mojo at the Dojo yet.
Oh, okay. And I want to do reiterate, boys and girls. Big Cat is a big cat, definitely.
Yeah.
And so that was your first opponent. Well, who was your second opponent?
My second opponent was Jake Hess.
Oh,
Jake Hess.
okay. Now I don't know a history. I don't know a whole lot about Jake Hess. I've only seen him work maybe 2 times right now. Again, being up in the main area. Now I've seen some pictures of before and now, and there's bald pictures. There's pictures with hair. Uh, Mr. Hess, where is he? Is he bald? Does he have hair? What's going on nowadays?
I'm not sure. I find it funny because when he first started training, he really, really, really wanted to be Kurt Angle.
Okay.
So I don't know if like the shaving of the head and letting it grow out a little bit and shaving the head has something to do with that. I don't know.
Okay.
But I don't know. I always picked on him. I said, "When you just gonna let it grow out?"
Well, thank you for that little fun tidbit. So, who was your third opponent over at Mojo? Mojo at the dojo? Is that what it's?
Mojo
Okay, Mojo at the dojo. Okay.
So I don't know. This kid, Dro Doobie. I can't remember exactly which training school he goes to, but it's like he's got a whole weed gimmick going on and everything. I was actually, quite impressed with the gimmick. He's just got some really shitty tattoos. So I don't know. He got me a couple of times in that match. The whole, hey, what's that? Bloop the nose. He got me with that twice. I don't understand why he thinks going up against a big guy like me is a game or a joke. But he obviously found out wrestling big country is no joke.
No joke, no joke. So, you are 3-0 at Mojo at the dojo, and 3-0 at Mojo at the dojo. All depending on how far this goes, you got to make that a T-shirt. I'm blah 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 and at Mojo at the Dojo. I mean, that could be something for you, my man.
Yeah, it could be.
So it runs kind of, sporadically at this point, right?
Yeah.
And it's offering for the fans to find it. The offering would be on YouTube is the only place to find us. Is that correct?
I don't know if it still is, but I want to say it was running on Facebook as well.
Okay.
But under each one, it would be under Limitless Wrestling Dojo.
All right.
Maybe,
And
maybe
okay.
even Limitless Wrestling as well.
Now I noticed that Limitless with the YouTube numbers, if you will, they've always had a lot of viewership when it comes, obviously the big juggernaut WWE will always probably have the highest viewership, but you start working your way down the ladder a little bit, and Limitless is always right there in the mix with the higher numbers of viewership. So that entails an awful lot of eyes looking, watching, following the product, especially the ones that can't go to these shows live and in person.
Mm-hmm.
So that's got to be really cool for yourself because you get to be part of something that has a lot of eyes,
I think
Now this, okay,
I want to say they have like 1.02 million followers on YouTube. I want to say
that's pretty fire. That's pretty fire, man. Now they always say that wrestling is a never-ending learning tree. So you're always honing your craft. You're a big guy. I'm sure, like most wrestlers, have a specific move set. Yours would being, again, as we've described, punch in the face, kick in the teeth, get the job done. Do you work or attempt anything that a big guy shouldn't be doing in that ring? And you're like, you know what? I think I could try this. Let me, take a little time and try to work this in. And if I can't, I can't. If I can, I can. Have you worked on any crazy stuff like that?
I have. So big guys like me, they shouldn't be doing a kip up or a nip up or whatever you want to call that.
However, yeah, here or there.
However, I surprised myself one day at the dojo, and I did the whole roll through and kipped up, and I almost shit myself. I couldn't believe it. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm like, holy shit! I just fucking did that.
Now,
I did it.
if we,
Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, if we, the fans, we see this stuff that a big guy's not supposed to do, we pop out loud every single time.
Yeah.
Like with that prime example, Drew McIntyre, when he does it, I say to myself watching the TV, son of a bitch, and he does it so smooth, and he shouldn't, as a gigantic, enormous human being, should not be able to do that. And I know he's very athletic. I mean, let's put that out there, but that's pretty impressive.
It is.
So learning from the 4 trainers at the dojo, I'm assuming, and I'm probably not wrong here, but they each have their own flavor on how they train the students.
Mm-hmm.
Are you finding that one might be a little rougher on Big Country, or one might be a little tougher than the others to maybe grasp on what they're teaching or stuff like that?
So Eric Johnson usually does the class for the beginners, and then Alexander Lee will do the ones for like the intermediate, above the beginner class, kind of, if you want to say. But then you got Jossie and Danger Kid. Danger Kid, he loves to do the cardio, the heavy cardio. We'll do 200 neck raises and then do 100 squats right after that.
Holy
yeah.
shit.
On top of 100 calf raises. Something I'm like, holy crap, I'm gonna wake up sore as shit the next morning. But it gets the job done. Doing the stuff that these little guys do. You got people in there like Jake Hess, Levi Spade. Those are little guys, and they're over there doing like roly flippy things. And there are some, yes, I can do, but there are some that I will not attempt to do.
And and just since we're on this kind of a topic, let's just point out, even though if you're a bigger guy and you can do some phenomenal stuff, even let's just hypothetically say you could do a 450 splash. You don't have you hypothetically, you don't have to use it, and you don't have to, and if you do use it, you don't have to use it all the time, and you can make it very special. So it's something that could always be in your repertoire that you don't do. MJF is a very, very recent prime example, because he just said, you saw something out of me very recently that you don't see out of me regularly. I know how to do all this shit. I just don't pull it out. I do it when I think, and when my brain, and when the story, and when the time presents it to be right, that's when I'll use it. So you can have the knowledge and not use it, Now, you were talking, see how far this wrestling gets me. Is it something that you're looking at on a larger long-term scale to provide for yourself and your family, being maybe on the TV, AEW, the WWEs and such? Is that kind of long-term what you're thinking here?
Maybe not that. Maybe not that high, at least not yet. I'm thinking, let's go to Germany and wrestle.
Okay.
Let's go to California and wrestle. Let's go to Texas. Let's go to fucking Canada. Let's go fucking, all these different countries, I'm not really thinking WWE, AEW, or anything like that quite yet. But okay. I would like to at least travel the world on the indie scene and, just check out the different styles.
Now, I know we didn't speak of, and I know my brain, I catch up sometimes. We didn't tell the boys and girls. Wait, yes, we did, the YouTube and stuff. I just want to make sure that we're able to find, the footage of the Mojo at the dojo and such. But we did put it out there. Just want to make sure is all. Now, doing the drives, Maine's a big ass state in its own right.
Yeah.
So just doing the drives in Maine is probably enough in its own. But Mr. JP was talking about way up at the tippity top of Canada. There's a promotion that runs every so often called the Crown of Maine, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. I don't know much about that. I really don't know a lot about that promotion. I don't think I've ever worked for that promotion, so I couldn't really tell you much about it.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just curious. So we have the likes of, we'll put out the Crown of Maine. We have the likes of Let's Wrestle, the likes of Limitless Wrestling. How many other offerings do we have? Because again, the pickings seem very slim in Maine.
So there is the NAWA. They run once, maybe twice a month, down in Dexter, Gino's Rock Club in Portland. They'll run, a few other places, Fairfield and whatnot, Kennebunkport. That's ran by Larry. So if you like old school wrestling, NAWA is the one to go to. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows what the status is of Vacation Land Pro Wrestling. So other than that, I'm not really sure what else is out there.
That's what I'm saying. Maine is a big ass state, and there's a lot of land to cover, but there's very, very few options when it comes to wrestling promotions.
Exactly.
But since we're on that topic, coming up very soon is the rebirth, as I spoke with JP O'Reilly yesterday, of Matt and Muscle Pro Wrestling. Is that something that may be an offering for big country, Matt and Muscle Pro Wrestling?
I have been contacted, and I had double booked myself for a show for that day. Ryan Colson was going to run one of his shows that he runs twice a year, but this Matt and Muscle promotion, I can't remember the name of it, MPW. I chose that one. It's closer to home. I know the guys that run it. I'm buddies with the guys that run it. They contacted me asking me if I wanted to be part of the show, and obviously I said yes. So
we always talk support system, and I know I did previously, but again, like you were saying, just with the merch, it takes a village, and having at least someone with a little bit of knowledge of graphics under your thumb a little bit to able to have some cool merch every so often and present something new and that. So that seems to be still well under, you still have a nice support system under Big Country, yeah?
Yep, I do. Um, yeah, I can't can't tell you how many people's come up to me over the past few couple of years, within the past year especially. It's like, dude, you've really put in the work. I'm not the greatest. I mean, I still have a lot of work to do, but I'm better than I was 4 years ago when I started.
Mm.
Those 3 4 years, everybody said I sucked, which I did. I've watched footage from those. It sucked.
Well,
But people go ahead.
that's how you learn, though.
Yeah. What? It's like everybody, back then also, I was getting myself into trouble, and everybody like, oh yeah, steer clear away from him. But I got my shit turned around. I started fucking putting in the work at the dojo. Everybody started seeing, oh, maybe this kid isn't so bad. So now these people that weren't supporting me are now my friends, and we get along, and the support's obviously there.
You mentioned you have May 6th coming up.
Yep.
And do you have anything else on the books that you can throw at us that you have on your schedule?
I'd have to look. I know I'm working the MEPW show on April 8th, and then Let's Wrestle on May 6th. I'll have to look at my calendar. I can't really tell you an exact thing at the moment.
Oh, no, that's fine. I was just curious. You hit the fans with the info. We kind of look it up, and if you're in the area, you can check it out live. If you're not, you never know what footage may or may not come out of it. So you can, follow the new stuff if you don't know, said promotion or said talent or whatever. The Big Country, Jason Maverick, is this something that stays with you? You feel throughout your career? Is there something in the works in your mind that you've looked ahead and say, if the Big Country, character or gimmick or presentation doesn't really work out for me, I've got this in my pocket for later on down the road. Do you have anything as a plan B, or is it Big Country throughout here?
I do have something planned as a plan B, but if everybody says that, oh, Jason Maverick has a bad attitude, obviously my idea for that's not going to work out. But it's kind of funny. But no, I'm hoping Big Country sticks for a while.
All right. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure if we were able to get a story or two out of you when you're on the road and you're having fun, and it could be just maybe at a show during maybe a post-show gathering where the boys and girls get together and have a little something to eat, or at a gas station, or just on a drive. Is there any little fun tale you could tell us with involving one Big Country Jason Maverick on the road and doing the drives and such?
I don't remember most of my road trips, mainly because, Miss Mary Jane. But I ride with one Lee Miller to the shows.
I'm sorry.
I swear, this guy is always trying to put me to sleep. I'm not even kidding you. He's always listening to the Kevin Nash podcast, or he's always listening to Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette bitches too much, and Kevin Nash just talks like this all throughout the podcast. And I'm like, dude, are you trying to put me to sleep or what? Jesus.
So you with one Mr. Miller, you get a mixture of Mary Jane and with a couple podcasts, one that sounds kind of mundane and one that's kind of yippy yappy and bitchy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you listen? Do you listen to any podcasts? Because wrestlers not only watch old footage or try to learn from their own matches and rewatch their footage and such, but they have also grasped onto podcasts because, my goodness, there are so many out there and there's so many to choose from. And some of them will really sit down and listen, like you were saying, Mr. Miller. Listens to that shit pretty ritually. Do you have any podcasts that you listen to, or it's just not your jam?
I was listening to podcasts, but then I got bored with it. The only podcast that I really enjoy listening to is the Kurt Angle Show.
Okay.
I've always been a huge Angle fan. I'm a huge Angle mark. I get to meet him the day before my birthday next month. So
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, if I was going to listen to podcasts, it'd probably be the Kurt Angle Show.
And if I remember right, I've listened to some of his podcasts. It's breakdowns of, say, a Royal Rumble 1990 some odd or whatever, and he kind of talks through with his co-host and such, and they break stuff down, and I think he takes questions and such like that, right?
He does.
It's hard with podcasts because you have to like the material. Obviously, if you're a wrestler, you're looking for a wrestling podcast to listen to, but it's not something that you can just grasp onto. I think it took me a little bit. Podcasts needed to kind of warm up a bit for me, so I'll listen to one here or there every so often, but I'm not really too much of a ritual guy when it comes to podcasts. The wrestling and the product right now, that the current product that's being produced, are you following it? Are you watching it? Are you keeping an eye on the pulse?
So when AEW first started, for the first couple of years, I was really hot on AEW. I'd watch it every Wednesday. But now I feel like it's starting to get stale. I'm not as interested into it as I used to be. And I'm starting to watch more WWE again.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's because I don't know. I just feel like I quit watching AEW as much as I was watching WWE.
Sometimes, you just need a little change or whatever, especially with as many options as we have nowadays as wrestling fans.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, let's be honest. That WWE Bloodline story has kept us riveted for quite some time right now, and it's probably been some of the best storytelling in a long time. And any company, because we haven't had something that we can really latch onto and take a ride with for like a long-term story.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been finding that the Bloodline storyline has been really fun with the characters that they put in, all the moving parts that they got going on. So, I mean, I'm not saying taking anything away from AEW or New Japan or Impact Wrestling or whatever, but that's kind of where my eyes have been focused, is around that kind of Bloodline and, and the surroundings of it. So that's been some fun for me personally as a fan. Are you been digging that Bloodline story stuff?
When it first started, I wasn't too fond of it, but I've grown to be very interested in the storyline. The match with Sami Zayn was absolutely great. I loved that match with Sami Zayn. I'm looking forward to Kevin and Sami versus the Usos at Mania. I'm looking forward to Cody and Roman at Mania. The whole Bloodline story, I don't think anybody really liked it when it first started with the whole head of the table tribal chief thing, but then they fucking started bringing in all the other pieces, Paul Heyman and Jey Uso, and then Jimmy Uso, and then later down the line you bring in Solo Sikoa. I've really enjoyed it.
I'm sorry, when the way Paul Heyman looks at Roman Reigns is just, I don't know, he doesn't even have to say anything. When he looks just solely at Roman Reigns with different emotions, that guy is such money. I mean, and then add his vocal ability. Oh my goodness, what a major piece of all of that has been.
What was it? A few weeks ago, I want to say, was he at the Elimination Chamber when Heyman started pounding on the back of Kevin Owens?
Yes.
I laughed so hard at that, and the way he just sold the stunner was like, wow.
Good stuff. But that shows us right here, boys and girls. We're talking. Excuse me. I don't know what the hell's going on here. we're talking to an active wrestler. Some, and I'm not saying many do, but some fall out of that fandom because they can't watch wrestling the same way that they used to before they really started getting into wrestling hard and have a few years under their belt. Some of them find their fandom kind of fade away a little bit because they just, with their eyes, they can't, and their eyes and their brain just can't see wrestling like it used to be before they became a wrestler. It sounds odd, but it's very true. But right here, we're talking to Jason Maverick, and he's a fan still. And you can tell by the way he talks, you can tell by the way he watches the product, you can tell by the way we're talking here about an active storyline going on right now. And I appreciate that, Big Country, because there's some, again, and I'll just repeat it one more time. Some of the girls and boys, they're not still fans the way they started previously. How do you keep, if you could describe to us, and I don't know if you can or not, how do you keep that fandom alive? Because you do see it with a different eye.
I don't know if I have a direct answer for that.
It's a hard one, I know.
It is a hard question because as a fan, I enjoyed it. But as a wrestler and a fan, and you mix those two, it's weird because you'll sit there and you'll start looking for, something that didn't go right. Or, hey, maybe they could have done this instead of this. Hey, maybe they should have done that. You're sitting there and you're watching that and you're thinking, oh, if I was in that position, I could have done this or I could have done that. It's weird because you're always watching and you're always trying to learn stuff. I love to watch the bigger wrestlers. I love to watch Keith Lee. I like to watch Samoa Joe. Those are, and Bronson Reed. I've actually, I've taken a seminar with Bronson Reed. I actually learned quite a lot with him. But, you're sitting there and you're watching this stuff on TV and you're looking at it and you're like thinking, what could I do? But at the same time, you see something, like the Bloodline story. It pulls you in. You're like, I really like this. I want to see what's going to happen next. Yeah. But then it's also hard because you have all the dirt sheets and all that spoiler crap online. That kind of kills it a little bit. But just watching, I don't know. It's like I'm looking for stuff that I could do better than this, and then a nice storyline brings you in. So I always get super excited because obviously as a wrestler, I'll have my wrestling buddies online, and they'll share their stuff. Oh, I'm going to be on Elevation tonight. Hey, I'm going to be on Dynamite. Hey, I'm going to be on Dark. The friends that you see at shows on a monthly basis or a couple month basis or whatever, they're going on to these bigger shows for like dark matches or whatnot, and you get so excited for them. So like I think that's part of the reason why I still watch as well as being a fan, because I like to cheer on my friends. Brett Goslin was on there. MSP's been on there. It's like you want to root on your buddies too. So it's wrestling's always got that surprise in there.
Well, I love the words, but Brett Goslin is your friend?
So maybe I told you about this, maybe I didn't. Brett Goslin is actually the one that lit the fire under my ass to get to the Limitless Dojo.
Oh. Huh. Okay, maybe I shouldn't frown on such Brett Goslin.
I mean, I don't know what he's doing outside of Maine, but when he comes up to Limitless Wrestling, everybody loves BRG.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not like that around here, let me tell you. Don, he's a big pain in our ass.
Dude, Don, okay, so March the 25th, which is next Saturday, Limitless is holding their monthly show. It's going to be, Brett Ryan Goslin, BRG, versus the Let's Wrestle champion, Mac Daniels, for that Let's Wrestle championship. And everybody is solely behind BRG. It's crazy. Because you think 6 months ago, 7 months ago, he was still with Prestigious. Everybody hated Prestigious. But then, Prestigious broke up. Everybody now loves BRG.
Wow, it's a bizarre world up there. What's going on?
I don't know.
It's like seeing the flip side of the Seinfeld episode when they're in Bizarro World and Elaine gets a whole new set of friends.
So definitely come up to the Limitless show next Saturday. I think you'll be surprised.
Well, if it wasn't 6 hours away, you might see, you might see me. But that is a haul for me, my friend. I do got to put that out there. You know, I don't want to lie to you because you're a big guy, and the next time I see you, I don't want you to kill me for lying to you.
It'll be quick. It'll be quick, John.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I guess. uh, well, you know, you've given us some really, really great, some great info surrounding the Limitless Dojo, because these are the conversations that I love to have with the talent that are obviously, you know, training, but that are training in somewhere specific that can really give us an insight, us the fans, because we're not there. We don't get in the ring. We don't get in the ring because that's why we watch you guys and girls. And you know, and we've talked about the relationship between us and such, but I'm 130 pounds. I'm not getting in that damn ring. There ain't no way I'm getting in that ring.
Have you looked at Levi Spade? He's smaller than you.
That's okay. He can do what he can do what he can do. I'm not getting in there. I will shatter like peanut brittle. Okay, I'm not built for that shit. All right. So that's why I am in awe, and that's why I go to these shows and I have grasped onto wrestling, because I think that's just something. When my eyes and brain see it, I just get awestruck with. So I think that's where my fandom comes from, and you know, it's not an easy thing to do. And I talk about it every single STP. One of the hardest things to become, and universally, I feel personally, is a wrestler, a singles wrestler. So to see you boys and girls do this shit, this absolutely not only blows my mind, but a lot of others. And that's why we are fans of wrestling. And that's why I do this shit and have these conversations, because we're not the athletes going through the motions and going through the sacrifices of what it takes and the perseverance. So I appreciate all of your, you know, your candor and stuff, and giving us a little insight of what it is really to train and, you know, persevere in wrestling. And I do appreciate everything you've told us today, my man, about the surroundings of the dojo.
Hey, no problem.
So Big Country's got a couple things scheduled on his plate, and I'm sure there'll be, you know, more coming in the future. And the long-term goal is spread the wings, intercontinental, if you will, international.
Yeah.
Big Country becomes big international. Would you? All right, if you go to Germany, would it be big international, Jason Maverick, or is it still Big Country?
Well, I'd hope Big Country, but you know, you never know.
No, I'm just having fun with your name. I'm sorry. That's my bad. Please don't hurt me.
We'll bust you in
Now,
the mouth, Don Kincaid.
no, don't do that. You've got a big fist because you're a big guy. Now we were talking, you know, Ryan F. and Frost, Jason F. and Maverick. Have you used that moniker at all, Jason F. and Maverick, for any specific reason?
It's funny because I do some online gaming and I have a group of friends that we vibe good. So this, my buddy's wife says they'll I'll jump in the party. They know I'm a wrestler, and I'll get the party. She'll go, it's Jason fucking Maverick, and it stuck. So that's how I came up with that.
uh, uh, those tidbits, boys and girls, they tickle me. I love those stories. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. That's a good one right there.
You're welcome.
You know, I would love to have the title of Jason fucking Maverick, but it would have to be in that same specific tone and cadence, and that's not going to come off and just seeing it visually. So I'll have to come up with something else for the title, but I would love to have that for the title. So the dojo, you're going to continue. You're going to persevere. You're going to take this wherever Jason Maverick, or wherever it can take Jason Maverick at this point, seemingly. That's correct, yeah? Sticking with the Limitless Dojo, you seem to be comfortable there. That's your home base right now?
That is my home base right now. I think so. I just started going back to the Danger Kid classes with all the cardio.
Mhm.
And you got bigger guys in there. The Donkey Boy Bandit. You got a couple others. So I'm always trying. I always find it more difficult when we're going through all the cardio because I'm trying to prove that I can do this and that I still have it. Because I took that 4-month hiatus and I was doing. I want to say I was doing really well. So now I still feel like I've still got some catching up to do, and I feel like it's going to be that way for a while.
And since you mentioned it, you did take a little time off. You gathered yourself, and you seem good, in our conversation. You gathered yourself. It's been a little bit. You jump back on that horse. You're back into training. You're doing the mojo at the dojo. We're seeing you visually on film. You seem to be in a good place right now. Can you say that?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, there's been a few hiccups here recently that's kind of got me thinking a little crazy, but for the most part, I'm pretty good.
Well, we're absolutely happy to hear that because I know, like you were mentioning, the dirt sheets. When somebody disappears, doing the rumor mills, and the dirt sheets. When it comes to the main talent, you can usually find out what the hell happened to him. Not like back in the day, if Sergeant Slaughter was gone for 6 months, you had no clue. All of a sudden, he came back and he was with some Iranian guy or some shit, or Iraqi guy. You're like, wait, what the fuck just happened? So you never knew what happened back in the day. But now, like you were saying, you can find out pretty quickly if someone's gone under injury or if somebody's had some kind of mental illness that they really have to take some time away and take care of themselves and all of that. But in the independent scene, it's not always like that. And I never like to dig when the friends that I've made over the independent scene, I don't dig. If they say they got to take off, hey, take off. Take care of yourself. Do what you got to do. If it's a rehab, if it's a drug thing, if it's a whatever it is, no matter. Take care of yourself. Get good because, as they say, wrestling is going to be there for you. And I'm glad at least you knew because not everybody does, my friend. I'm telling you this right now personally. I've seen it firsthand on the scene. Not everybody knows when to at least just take a goddamn break, pull yourself back, and fix yourself. You know what I'm saying? And I applaud you for doing that.
Well, thank you.
And we talk about that on SCP an awful lot. Is you can have all the physical prowess you want, but if this up here ain't right, the physical stuff doesn't match up, and you can't do what you should be able to do for yourself, for your opponent, for the promotion, for your career. So sometimes you just got to take a little time, set aside, fix your shit, and get it done. So again, I applaud you as a fan and as a person because I know it's a little tough to do. So hopefully you get through these little rocky roads and you persevere and do your thing. Uh, Mr. Country, we have had an amazing conversation. We're a solid hour. No disconnections. The Wi-Fi kept us all alive here. And
no interruptions today.
no interruptions. I thought we had a very fine conversation. We got a lot of Mr. Maverick info. We've got some Limitless Dojo info and much more. And I really do appreciate your time taken out of your life to talk to us, the fans. Have we not covered something that maybe you were going to bring to the table that I haven't, asked you or talked about yet?
Not that I can think of.
Well, I want to be able to, as George Costanza, leave on a high note, except last night because no, wait, was it last night? It was 2 nights ago. That's how I was left off on the 2 nights ago on STP. So I want to leave it off on a high note. Not that Jason Maverick wouldn't do that, anything's possible. But see, boys and girls, could you give us the fans the handle of where we can find you on the old interwebs, being the Twitter, the face page, the Pornhub, OnlyFans, whatever you've got going on? We want to be able to find you.
So Instagram, you can find me under Jason F and Maverick. It's literally all lowercase. It's not the word fucking. It's just FN. So Jason F and Maverick.
Okay.
Twitter, you can find me on Twitter at Big Country 420. Big Country 812 or hang on. J Maverick 812 is the one you're looking for Twitter.
Okay.
TikTok, it's Big Country Jason Maverick. You know, Facebook, it's Big Country Jason Maverick. And yeah, so yeah.
You do TikTok dances?
I used to do TikTok dances. That's the funny thing. Like, I look at TikToks that I made 2 years ago, and I'm looking at myself, and I'm like, you look like an idiot.
So there's no way we could get a quick TikTok dance from One Big Country, right?
No.
And yeah, okay. All right, let's all calm down. Uh, one more time, thank you, Mr. Maverick. Thank you for the details of how to find you, because that's what we want. We want the boys and girls that already know you and such to, take a look-see at the STP and get to know a little bit more. But we also want new faces, new eyes on Mr. Maverick, on the products, on the promotions that we've spoken of throughout this STP. So thank you again for setting some time aside to talk to us, the fans. And we can't wait. Oh, and we can't wait to see what the future brings. One Big Country, Jason Met, Big Internet. You know what? Big International, Jason Maverick. That's the name of this episode. With that said, this is Certified with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Big International, Jason Maverick. Thank you, my man.
Hey, no problem.
Oh shit! It didn't stop again. Why the fuck can't I stop this thing?